Sometimes it can feel like communicating with your partner is about as straightforward as a Christopher Nolan plotline.
Entropy runs backwards. We think it's a type of inverse radiation triggered by nuclear fission.
What the hell you say?
But rejoice, my friends, there is a hack, and that hack is a hot tub. Okay, it is for us, but your solution might take a different form, but here's what I mean. We got a hot tub about 1.5 years ago, and we probably go sit out there like 2 or 3 nights a week after the kids have gone down. And since it's a hot tub, we're not on our phones or our computers. We just have to sit there with each other and talk. I know, it's terrible. We end up almost always having a great conversation about things we really need to communicate about, from scheduling with the kids to personal problems to brainstorming ideas for our YouTube channels, and probably most importantly, the inevitable tension of life that comes up between me and her over time. It's just so easy to avoid those conversations when you have so many constant distractions in the modern world. So when you stick yourself in a position where you have nothing else to distract yourself with, you're kind of forced to talk about the things that you need to talk about. And you don't even have to have a hot tub. You just say 2 nights a week, we're going to leave our phones in a separate room, make some cocktails, and sit on the couch and just talk until it's time to go to bed. Or maybe you're morning people and you say, we're going to have coffee on the front porch and watch the sunrise. There doesn't even have to be an agenda, just quality time that's intentional and set apart and doesn't even have to be scheduled to a T. We don't have official days we do hot tubbing. It just kind of ends up happening 2 or 3 times a week, especially in the fall and winter. But if you have more significant issues, you really should schedule a time, because you've got to build a good habit that happens naturally before you can relax things a bit. James Sexton, who's a divorce lawyer who's become a big internet personality and has a lot of good things to say, because ironically he gives great marriage advice, because he sees so often what makes marriages fall apart and then recommends the opposite. And he wrote in one of his books, I'm okay with being pragmatic rather than romantic. Honestly, there's something romantic about pragmatism. I find reality way sexier than delusion. Sure, you can be a naive romantic and say, our hearts should just be so in sync that I don't even need to say things to him, or she should love me enough to know what I need. But really, that's more delusional than Kevin Hart trying out for the NBA. You gotta say things, you gotta build habits of honesty and transparency, and that takes time and training and discipline and practicality and maybe even scheduling. But building habits of communication really isn't just about working through the hard conversations. Most of the time in the hot tub with my wife, we're laughing and sharing funny stories from our day and complaining about the news and throwing out ideas for projects we want to work on. Like, my wife is an ER nurse, and she was telling me the other day about an older fella who came in with his finger in a baggie from a sawing accident, and he was already missing a finger. So this was the second time he'd done it. You'd think you would have learned your lesson the first time. And you know that guy's wife is never going to let him live that down as long as he lives. And I know there's all the HIPAA and privacy and stuff. It's not like my wife tells me everything, but I get to hear some funny stories. By the way, I'm Andrew. This is my co-host Oakley right here, and we are currently taking donations in the form of subscribes or Olroy bacon strips. But we got our hot tub for like $1,200, or maybe it was $1,500 on Facebook Marketplace. But you can get one from Amazon for like $500, which isn't chump change, but it sure is a lot cheaper than divorce fees from lack of communication. So I'll put a link to that Amazon hot tub below. And another hot tub bonus, but we usually don't wear clothes. For one, it's just practical. A swimsuit drips everywhere and you have to hang it and it gets all mildewy, and believe it or not, there's actually very little funny business that goes on in the hot tub. It's just really nice to have like skin to skin contact in a way that doesn't have to be, spicy, and because a lot of skin to skin cuddling releases oxytocin and other sciencey things like that, and it's so cozy in the winter to just be close together, and sometimes it's snowy and romantic and doesn't even feel cold, but sometimes things do get hot in the hot tub, so that's an added perk. And ladies, if you want your husband to talk to you, sitting naked in a hot tub isn't a bad way to lure him out. But whether it's hot tub time or cocktail time or coffee time in the morning or whatever, it will absolutely change everything for your relationship if you create some kind of habit like this. I'm always open to more tips, so if you have any marriage advice that's worked really well for you, please share below in the comments. And please subscribe so that Oakley can afford to go to Spain to see his lover and work on their relationship. Here's a slideshow of him as a reward for making it to the end of the video.